Well guys, welcome to the Man Cave. I'm not out in the woods today. In fact, I do have opportunity to go out there maybe later, but might give it a miss. I've got a few projects that I can only do really indoors, and I don't want to sort of do in a workshop out in the woods. But a little bit of what's been happening lately. All of last week, from Sunday right through to Saturday, I was in Devon on the edge of Dartmoor at a place called Dave Budd's. He's a knife maker and tool maker. He makes tools, he can make draw knives, axes, he makes knives and all sorts of other wonderful implements for woodworking and general knife skills. Also there were two other people there, a guy called Anthony, whose surname I cannot remember, and Will Lord, the god of flint knapping and Bronze Age technology. So what was I doing over the week? Well, it was called The Blade, and it was an exploration into the history of the knife, basically from Paleolithic times or Neolithic times right through to the modern age. And basically you came away with the minimum of 3 tools. In fact, I've come away with slightly more than I had anticipated. I've come away with a flint knife, a bronze axe, a bronze knife, which both of those need a lot of work on, and a couple of other pieces. Something that was made for me by a friend just before I went away, which I will show. But this is a knife heavy video, and if you're not into knives or not into the knives that I'm into, well, tough really. So what did we do? First 2 days we did flint knapping, and basically it was getting a large nodule of flint, working it down, looking for the platforms and the ridges and taking them off. Now that's one flint type of flint knife. You bind it in leather. What else have I got in this little box? I've got some microliths, which are these. No piece of flint is wasted. These will be used for cutting, very very sharp as well. We discovered how sharp they was on the end of the second day when we was clearing up the flint. A guy knelt down and actually the flint cut straight through his trousers, straight through into his knee. Did a nasty gash in his knee. Now he didn't even know he cut himself until he felt something sort of like cold and wet on his knee, and he discovered it was cut. Very very nasty cut. In fact, they use obsidian in eye surgery because it gives such a fine cut that it doesn't scar. Now I've got a few other things here. I've got a sort of hand axe. It's split across there. We were basically trying to do biface knapping, but I've got a sort of hand axe there that I can use at some point, and that which I could use as an arrowhead or an arrow point. I was talking to Will Lord about this over, early one morning, and there's another slightly napped. I pressure flake this myself. It's not a brilliant one, but it would work. And we were talking about the use of arrowheads, and we both come to the same conclusion that the traditional shaped arrowhead of that shape was in many respects a bit impractical. It works as a weapon of war, but for a hunting weapon they were often better off with the sort of straight point. Had a large nodule of flint, and we pulled off that flake, which is really sharp, and I'm going to find something to haft it onto at one point. I might use it at some point in the future, and I made up a little type of knife. Excuse me. Hazel handle, willow binding and pitch pine glue. The pitch pine glue is worked on a ratio of 2 parts pitch, 2 parts beeswax and 1 part charcoal. So we had 4 days, another 4 days to go, and in those 4 days we would do 2 days ironwork, or what I would say modern knife maker, which we'll be using type of sprung steel, which is it's EE something or other. I cannot remember the name, but it's not O1 tool steel, it's the other one. And also we made bronze. So what shall I get on with next? The bronze. Working with the godfather of primitive technology, Will Lord, we made some bronze items. Unfortunately I lost one, which was a bronze ring, a large bronze ring I made. We was experimenting. Now these do need tidying up an awful lot, and they were made by two different processes. There's the knife, bronze knife, and that's the bronze axe. I've got to cut it off there, and I've got to take I've got to clear off all the sprues and what have you, and give it a good buff up. And that's the knife. Again, it's got to have a real big clean up on it. It didn't work out so well. Now, two different processes. This was made with a sand mould. We got oil bonded sand, and you made the mould. You press the wooden pattern into the mould, and then you made the mould up, stood the mould on its end, and you tipped the bronze in. This was made by Lost Wax, but I picked the wrong sort of wax really. I picked one that could be moulded by hand. And really what I should have done was picked a casting wax and made a type of mould out of some clay, and then cast the wax into that and then carved it up. But nevertheless, I will be able to get a little food prep knife out of that once I've finished giving it a good clean up. Very interesting casting bronze and making bronze. We actually made it from scratch. We got tin and we got malachite, and we beat the malachite down to almost a powder, popped it in the crucible, melted it, let that form copper, and then we popped that to one side, and then the next day we made our bronze up using 12% tin and the rest copper. Very interesting program. At some point in the next few weeks I will do a slideshow. I've got about 200 odd pictures, so I've got to really sort it out and make a slideshow of it. That is a beautiful piece of work. Mine was a second cast. You had a choice of swords. A lot of the blokes picked swords. You had swords, axe heads, knife points, and other things. And on to the actual working tool itself. The handle is a bit rough and ready at the moment, and I'm not entirely happy with it. I could have done this better, but that's the knife, and it's a fully working tool. Brilliant piece of kit. The handle is elm, and as I say, I want to take that down a bit, so I'm going to chamfer that down like that, pull the sides in, and then pull that around, so that I'll thin the handle out a little bit. Plus I could actually make a sheath for it later on in the year once I get myself some leather. It's to my own design, the knife. You notice it doesn't have a Scandi grind. Dave Budd is not a great lover of Scandinavian grinds. As he says, it's not part of our culture. It's popularised by one person, and nearly every knife you buy for bushcraft has got a Scandinavian grind, and primarily that grind is designed for wood carving, and mine would be able to do a little bit of wood carving, process food and what have you. Right, this knife, as you can see, it's a Damascus steel kiri. It's a small Japanese style food preparation knife. I should probably use it for prepping food and maybe do the finer points of wood carving. It's a really nice piece of kit, and these are some of the things that Dave Budd makes. I would love to attend one of his one-to-one courses and do some Damascus or pattern steel work. I've got a friend at work, and he does knife making in his spare time. And a little while back I asked him, I says to him, I says, Pete, have you got circular saw blade kicking around in your workshop, one that you don't use anymore? He says, yeah. I says, I would like an ulu made. He made me this rather nice, lovely ulu. I showed him the various patterns. He's done a deer handle for it, a deer antler handle, and it really works. I used it for the first time yesterday and it cut the mushrooms really nice. It's a food preparation knife essentially used by the Inuit. Now ulu actually is an Inuit word meaning a woman's knife, and it really, I'll say it's a really good piece of kit and I can't fault it. I showed it to Dave Budd and to Will Lord and a few of my friends on the course, and we all agreed, and they all agreed, it was a very good piece of kit. Well guys, that's the end of this little video. It's only a shortish one, and it's just basically talking about my knives and my things that I made over the past week. I learned a lot about knife making. That's the bronze axe head, a bit more on that one. I learnt an awful lot about knife making, and it's given me a better appreciation of good quality knives and, you know, and what to look for in a knife. In fact, if I ever do another knife, I'm either going to rehandle a knife or make one from scratch by going and visiting a knife maker. I've got that which I bought a long while ago. That's a Jules Patterson knife. I've taped up the blade because I'm busy working out to use that, which is a piece of walnut, and I'm going to put it onto that. Oh, by the way, Dave Budd in general prefers stick things, and he explained why. And he says no. He says though they get a bit of bad press, they're actually quite good and quite effective. Anyway, guys, as I said, that's the end of my video for today. I'll probably be doing another one later when I'm sorting the stick tang out on my Jules Patterson knife. I was going to put a bit of antler on there, but I've changed my mind. I'm just going to have it straight walnut. I'm going to keep the piece of antler for another day, for another knife. And that's it. Plenty of work to get on with. I'm enjoying myself a nice cup of coffee. I've got into drinking a little bit more coffee of late, and it's nice. Filter coffee or cowboy coffee, but not instant. Anyway, see you later guys.